And welcome, wonderful people. This is Papa Fanzo once again, and we are still working with inheritance and struggling with the mouse in here, but I believe everything will be fine. So this is where we left off, where we looked at a code with no encapsulation. And then we also dealt with encapsulation principles, and we looked at the getters and the setters and the private fields, attributes, the members that we had. And this time I'm just going to erase this. Okay, there it is gone. And what we are going to do, we are still going to work with inheritance. Now everything has been explained. I believe and hope that you have understood exactly the principles that I have spoken when it comes to inheritance. So what is it that we are going to do now? I'm going to declare a class which I will call a vehicle, and I want you to see the differences in here, because there is a point that I would like to make. So in here I'm going to define a method which is called representation. Remember, we dealt with this method before, but I just want you to see some differences that we will have in here. So I'm going to have a print statement, and the print statement will just print out self a dot, and I'm going to have a private member in there which we will call make, comma, self. All right, there's a problem there. Let me just fix it very quickly. Very good. So in here I will have self underscore the model. Very good. So remember, when I have a prefix like this, this is it denotes that I am dealing with a private member, right? And then this is a method that we have. It has this print out, and then I'm going to define another method which I will call get insurance cost. So get insurance cost, right? It will accept one argument, of course, and the argument that it will get is the number of months. And then what will it do there? Irrespective of the number of months that you provide, it will return a 0. Right, and then I'm going to define another method which I will call get make. And this method doesn't accept any arguments, but what it does is just to return. So it will return self dot underscore make. So this is a get. It will get and return that. Very good that we understand this. And I'm going to define another method which I will call set make. Now this one must receive a parameter, because remember, it has to set. So I'm going to call this a value. Very important. And what I'm going to do in there, I'm going to say self dot underscore make is equals to the value that you pass in there. And then I'm going to define another method which I will call a get model. So this will be called get model. So this get model, okay, let me just say get the model, and the get will receive no parameters, remember, and then it would return self dot underscore model. Very good. So this will be the get model that we have. And then let me have the last method which I will call set the model, and the set will receive a parameter which I will call a value. and what is going to happen there, it would return, because it is, oh no, it will not return, it is a set. It will set self dot underscore model is equals to the value that you pass in there. Now let me explain this, because I have coded everything so quickly that maybe sometimes you must have missed something in here, and my phone is getting flat. So let me just quickly just have a pause so that I can fix the problem that is a few minutes to okay. So let me just pause this. Right, okay guys, let's continue, and let me just try to explain exactly what is happening in here. So in here, okay, let me just fix the problem there. Very good. So what is it that we are doing in here? First of all, we have a class. We are defining a method representation that accepts no arguments. It prints a statement self.make. What is this? This is a private member and also a private member. So the print just prints out the make and the model. So this is the print that we have. Very important. It prints in the private members, which is make and model. So when you call this method, it will print that. Very important. Highly important. Right. And then we define another method, get insurance cost. It accepts the number of months and it returns 0 irrespective of the number of months that you will provide there. You will see what is happening in here. We have a method, get make, and it accepts no argument. What it does, it returns the private member make. And as you can see there, this make is highlighted and this one is not highlighted because this is a different method, right? And then you have the set that accepts a value, and it takes the value that you pass in when you set this, and it assigns it to the make so that you can return that when you get this. And then I have a get mode, there it is. I have a set for that, so everything works just fine in here. Nothing is problematic, right? So what is it that I am going to do in here? First of all, what I'm going to do in there, I'm going to use the principle of inheritance. And this is very important that we listen very carefully. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to define a class which I will call a car. And a car is a vehicle. Therefore, car is going to inherit from a vehicle. Very important. And then what is it that I'm going to do? I'm going to override some method. And which one am I going to override? The get insurance cost. So I'm going to override this method. So let me just do this. Let me copy this, enter, and let me paste it. So I am overriding the get insurance cost in there inside of this class which I called car. But I'm not going to return a 0 in here. What I'm going to do in here, I am going to return the month multiplied by a value of 25. This is exactly what I'm going to do there. Very important that we see this. And secondly, I'm going to add a car constructor. Remember, we use the def underscore and then we print out init. And then the constructor in here is going to accept some few arguments. So it will accept the make value. Secondly, let it accept the model value. And then thirdly, let it accept the door number of doors count. So I'm going to say door count value. Very good. So these are the three parameters that it will accept. So when you try to when you instantiate a car, you will have to pass in those three parameters. Nothing is new with this. We have dealt with this, no problem. All right. And then inside of my constructor in here, I'm going to say self dot, and I'm going to set make. Very, very important. So I'm going to press the dot and say self make. Let me use a caps there. And then what I'm going to do in there, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to assign it to the make value there. Very, very important that we try to see this. So what is happening in here? What is happening in here? You will just see in a few minutes. So remember what I did there. Remember, self will reference to the object instance. Now let us look whether we have set make in there. Now if we hover over here, we have the set make. There it is. We also have the set model. So when I say self and I say dot, now I'm looking for, let us see whether I will see this set make, and unfortunately it is not there, even if when I do this. So it is not there. So I'm going to say set make, sorry, and then I'm going to use my brackets in there and assign it a make value there. Very, very important. And then I'm also going to say self dot set the model, and I'm going to assign it to the model value in there. Very important. And I'm going to say self dot set doors count, and I'm going to assign it to doors count value in there. Now what I'm going to do next, I am going to have a method extension. So I'm going to extend a method. Which method will that be? I'm going to extend this method representation. So I'm going to representation. Very, very good. So in there, what is it that I'm going to do there? So what I'm going to simply do, I am going to call in the super, remember the constructor of the base, and I'm going to use dot representation. There it is. Now remember what is happening in here. I am creating a method extension. So I am extending this method. Now remember this method representation, what it does, it just prints out the make and the model, and it accepts no arguments. So in here I am calling in the method of the base, and what am I going to do here in representation? I'm going to extend it. So how am I extending this? I'm going to have a print, and in this print I'm going to have doors count in there, and I'm going to say okay, self dot underscore doors, let's say doors count, right? And let's see if this is going to work. Right, we are having a problem there. Why are we having a problem? Why are we having a problem there? Do we have doors count in there? we have a doors count value. That is what we have. We have a doors count value. Right. So when we try to print this out, we are going to have some problem in here. We are going to have some problems. But let's just leave this. Before we continue, we shall fix that. Now, let us define another method. And what am I going to do in this method? I'm going to add a new method. So I'm going to define a method which is called get doors count. So this is a get doors count. And this method will accept no parameters. And what it will do, it will just return self dot underscore doors count. Very, very good. This is what it will do there. And then what is it also? I'm going to define a method that will be able to set doors count. So I'm going to call this set doors count, and set obviously has to accept one parameter. And what it will do there, I'm going to say self dot underscores doors count. It's equals to the value that you will pass in there. Right. Now let us look where the problem is now. Very, very important. When we try to extend this method representation in there, we are having some problem. So representation, when I call in the super dot representation, everything is fine, and then it has to print the doors count. Oh, there's a comma that we need to place in there, and everything will work just fine. So let me explain what is happening in here. I have explained up until to this part. You can understand what is happening. Let's come this side. Now remember, when car inherits from a vehicle, because a car is a vehicle, it will have access to all the public fields and methods and everything that is public that we find inside of this class, which we call vehicle. So in other words, we will have access to representation and get insurance cost, get make, set make, get model, and set model. We will have access to all these functions. So hence when I come here, so when I call this method, in other words, what is it that I'm doing in here? Let us check. It is a method, there it is, and this is what the method prints out. Remember that. And then what am I doing in here? I am overriding that method, because this method has no return value, but this one returns. When you pass in the number of months, it will take those number of months and multiply them by 25. And the difference between the two, this one accepts no arguments, whereas this one accepts a certain number of arguments. This is the very first thing that we need to check. And then secondly, in here I am defining a function which is a constructor. The constructor accepts three things. So when you instantiate a car, which is a vehicle, you will have to provide the make value, make model, and doors count value. And then in here I'm saying self dot set make. What is that? The set make, if we come here, let me show you something. If I press the dot here and I am going to check for, okay, sorry, let me just close this. So if I press the dot in here and I want to look for set, look what I have access to in here. Set doors count representation. I don't have anything that is set make. So in here, remember what is a set. This is a getter. Yes, this is a setter, a getter and a setter there. So in here, I'm not overriding I'm not calling in the set make of the base class. I'm not doing that in here. In here, I am having, when I say self dot set make, this is set make in here. And then as you can see there, what is it that I'm trying to do in here? Whenever you pass in the value of the set make, when you instantiate your constructor, what is it that it is going to do there? I'm trying to take that value, something like a boxing in here. I'm taking that value and I am setting that make. And then even in here, I'm not calling the set model of the base. No, I'm taking the value of the constructor in here, boxing in there, and then I am setting it there. The same happens with the door count value, and I'm setting it in there. And then remember what self will do. Self will refer to the object instance of car. This is exactly what I'm trying to do in there. And then if we have understood that, in here I am defining a method, and in here I am extending the representation. Now look what is happening. There it is. It accepts no arguments. It just gives us a printout. So in here I am extending, because I'm using super dot representation. So I am extending the method of the base class. And then what is it that I'm printing in here? I am printing the number of doors count. Very important. And then here I'm having my get that will get the doors count. I'm having my set that will set the number of doors count. Very, very important that we try to understand this. And maybe this may require that you sit down a little bit and try to digest this. So the very first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to create a car instance. So this is equals to a car, right? But remember, there is a constructor in car that accepts three things. This is very, very important. So let me provide those three things. There they are. So I'm going to say this is a Toyota. And secondly, I'm going to say this is a Corolla. And the last one would be 4. Those would be the number of doors count. Alright, everything is fine in the constructor there. And then secondly, what I'm going to do, I'm going to call the method that was extended. So I'm going to say car dot representation. So which method will it call? Remember, I instantiated a car. So it will go inside of a car and it will invoke the method that was extended, which is the representation, this one. Very, very important that we note the differences in here. And then secondly, after it has printed that for me, I just want to have some dashes in there just to show that we are done there. And then secondly, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a print, and I'm going to say car dot, and then I'm going to get doors count. Very, very good. And then it will print that for me, and then I'm going to just copy this, and then I'm going to paste it in here. Sorry, I'm trying to copy this and pasting it there. Very good. And then secondly, what is it that I'm going to do? So I'm going to have a print, and in this print I'm going to print out the make. So I'm going to use self Okay, let me not say self, let me say car dot, and I want to access get make. And when I try to access the get make in here, you see that we are having some problem. It doesn't appear in here. When I try inside of car, I should have access to the method which is called get make. Why? Because we used inheritance. It will be as if it is inside here. So why is it doing this? So let us just try to look into our code whether we did not make some mistakes. So I defined a function which I call the get make, and it returns that, and I have the set there. So everything seems to be fine. So let me just do this. Can I please do this? Will you please allow me to do this? Will you please allow me to do this? Will you allow me to do that, please? So that let us check when I come here and I press the dot, you see now. So indentation plays a pivotal role in object-oriented programming, more especially in Python. So I'm going to call in the set make, and remember the set, let me not call the set, sorry, the get, get make. There it is. It accepts no arguments because it just gets a value there. And then let me also print out the model there. So the model there, I'm going to say car dot get model. So let us try to have these printouts and see exactly what is going to transpire, and if there are some errors, we will try to solve those errors. So I'm going to try and run my code and see exactly what is it that we can have. So this is the output that we have. So in here we have a Toyota Corolla. The number of doors is 4. And then remember we made a line. So remember, let me show you where we are. So we have a car dot representation. So it will print out Toyota Corolla doors count, it's 4. So it will get doors count, which is 4. There it is. And then we will continue and say the make is that, and the model is that. Now let me show you something in here. When we say get car.get doors count, what value did we set for that? It's 4. When I say car.representation, so what it will do, remember inside of car we have a method called representation. And what does it do when you invoke this method? But now look what you are saying in here, super dot representation. And in here, remember the first one, it will print out the make and the model. The make is Toyota and the model is Corolla. And then you extended this method in here to add in doors count, and you set the doors count, the value as 4. So it does 2 things in here. The very first thing that it does, it goes to the base class, it prints out the make and the model, and then it goes into the car class because you have used inheritance. And what it does, after calling in the super method which prints out Toyota and Corolla, and then it goes to the next line and it prints out the doors count, which we have assigned it a value of 4 in here. So this performs two things. It is very important that you see that it will go first to the base class. It will print out Toyota and Corolla, because that's exactly what it does. It prints out the make and the model, and you have set the make. Let me show you. You have set out the make and the model there, so it will print Toyota and Corolla, and then it will come here and then it will print number of doors as 4. So this is something very important, worthy of noting, something that requires very deep understanding in the principles of machine learning. Right, so guys, thank you for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe, and Papa Fanzo will see you in the next tutorial. Sorry guys, before we can go, let me just make some clarification in here. Please let me just clarify something. Now remember what we did in here after we created a constructor. Let me show you something, because we saw that when we corrected our indentation in here, when you press in here, you see when we say when we say what were we setting in here, set make. So let's set the make. So there it is, and this set make, look where it comes from the vehicle class, because we used inheritance in there. So please, this is not a variable that I'm creating. I am going inside of the base class and I am taking, when you construct your car, what is it that I'm doing here? I am boxing the value that you set in here to the set make. So the set make inside of car will have, in fact, this set make, let me show you. So when you set make in here, let me just have a pause very quickly. So what is it that we are saying in here? Now remember the set make, and I want you to see what it highlights. So we have the set make, and the set make comes from the base, the super class, and again there it is highlighted. So when you pass in the make value, that make value from the base class will be assigned that value. So we are assigning the value inside of the base as the value that you will pass in here when you construct your car. The same thing is happening for the set model. The same thing is happening for set the doors count. So it will set that, but remember in here, when I say self dot, I am accessing what now? I am accessing the set value in the base class, because the set doors count, do we have that in here? No, inside here we don't have it. What we have in here is just the set model. There it is, and we also have the set make. Where is the set make? There it is. So we do not have the set doors count. The set doors count, it's not there in the vehicle class, but it is defined inside of your car class. Very, very important that we see that. So in here, that is why in here I'm having a get and a set for what? For get doors count and set doors count, but I don't have that inside here. Hence, if I want to have access, I want to assign the make and the value, the make value and the model value, because already they are defined in the parent class. I'm having access to them via the self dot set make, and I am setting their values via the value that you will pass in when you construct your car instance. So this is just something that I wanted to share with you guys. So please, I hope that you understand what I'm trying to say in there, and everything will work out just fine as we see it. So this is just something very simple, worthy of noting.